Welcome to the flow. Somebody was staring tea in the intro, but it wasn't me. I'm having bone broth.
Your bone broth, because you got to recover from your trip.
You ain't never lied, bruh. That's exactly correct. And actually, freaking Dr. Huberman asshole said I can't have coffee for the first hour. So, like, I hate you. I hate you. Anyway, gang, you know what it is? Today is time to record the flow. You know the steps. You know the drama. If you're brand new around these parts, let us know so we can make sure that we invite you into the fam, give you all of you proper greetings and salutation. As you can see, my Canadian has turned Filipino, but we're good. So she's standing there for Katie today. Katie is Katieing somewhere. Katie is Katieing someplace. So we're going to enjoy this, and we're going to do something cool. Yeah, we'll talk about it during the show. So how you been, Lou?
I've been really good. And I've missed our chats, so I'm glad that you're back.
All right, I've been talking to my dang self for the last 2 weeks. Because Emma and Baba don't know much about podcasting or content creating or whatever. I'm trying to teach Emma on the fly. Like, hey, listen, you got to press over here and tap this and drag this. And so she recorded a really amazing bun dance presentation. And she got a spot in the front, squat down, got a little video in. I'm like, why does this video have all the same dude with the blonde hair looking like one of them anime characters? You're supposed to be She's like, oh, well, that's where I used to be 14, girl. I feel you. Like,
you'd imagine if like our 14-year-old eyes, like it caught everything that we saw. Like, I'm like, we don't even want to see that. Come on.
The same video with the same cute boy. And I was like, listen, there's like 18 people performing, little girl. You ain't fooling no one.
You're like, but that one looks like an anime character.
Right? And if I see him in your chat, Uncle gonna break his neck. That's it. That's all. Okay, anyway, let's go. Let's go. I am ready, gang. This is so good. I miss you guys so much. You have no idea. It's really trip how you create a lot when you step away for a hot minute. And I'm waiting on any given moment. I'm on my screen. I'm editing podcasts and I'm putting up all of the Creators Unstuck shows. And I'm like, yo, Luis's head ain't pop up on none of these screens. Like, this ain't right. Like, something's not right. Okay. And no messages from Paul, like, wake your ass up, get downstairs, you got a show to do. Like, it was really strange. Anyway, gang, here we go. Michael has got at first 100 subscribers. Let's give him some kind of plot. Wait, I don't know where my buttons are. All right, you get fairy magic today. I'm out of sync. Micah. I'm out of sync. All right, guys, let's breathe it out. You know what it is? Counting it down. Get your little woosah in. Big Rich, man. I see Big Rich is here. I want to give props to Big Rich. Rich has kicked off his newsletter again. Took a little hiatus and he came back. But Rich sent me his newsletter thing and he was like, yo, he put in, I'm listening to my fam Doc Rock and I'm going to block it, lock it, and rock it. And so he did it. And I was like, yeah, come on. I don't think Rich listened to me, but he did. No, that's my man's. I love Rich. All right, gang, let's do this. Let me center this microphone because, OCD. What do you want? And 5.
I got to look for cat hair. I recorded something and I had a cat hair on it, but it was already too late. So I did a zoom in for you, though.
That's okay. Janet will appreciate the cat hair. 5, 4. Aloha, Flow Riders, and welcome to another edition of The Flow. I am your host, Doc Rock, along with my awesome co-host, Katie. Oh, wait, hold on. Katie's not here. Mary Lou is standing in for Kate. What's up, Lou?
Hello. I'm so glad to be here on The Flow.
Wow, it's so weird. Like, same people, different chat. Okay, so listen, gang. Over the last month and a half to 2 months, I forget how long it's been because it's been like a flyer. It's probably been closer to 2 because I ran away for 2 weeks. Mary Lou and I have been creating this show called Creators Unstuck. And one of the things that we said when we wanted to do the show was we're going to build it completely in public, right? So on my channel, on the YouTubes, we went through every single steps, all the confusion, all the craziness, all the figuring out, all the same stuff that you would go through, and we went all the way through. So right before I was taking off on a vacation, we decided we want to record like 6 episodes so we can already build our back catalog, if you will. And we did that as well. Edited all but the last one. And now it's time to market. Now it's time to go tell the whole planet, other than the family that watched us build it, that this show is red. So we're going to teach y'all how to market a podcast. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because it's been a couple weeks off, but it is something we've been thinking about and kind of ideating since April. It was like a little nugget of an idea, and then we went through a lot of the steps that we're going to share today are things we've already gone to, and then now what we're going to continue into in marketing what we've already built.
I think there's only a couple that we haven't done so far. And then, yeah, because one of the things that comes up every time, so we go to these shows, right? Luis and myself, K-Walk Comedy, Stevie Wicks, Janet, we were all in Atlanta, and we were at this podcast event. And one of the questions that just always comes up is, how do I get more listeners, right? It's the same thing with YouTube. Like, how do I get more viewers? At this point in time in your podcast, they should be the same people. Trust me, if you're not doing a video podcast, you are sleeping on it, okay? But that's a different conversation. So it comes down to marketing, right? And I'll give the Atlanta example because everybody understood it when I said it. I was on the stage. I'm in the big room. There's all these people sitting in the room. And I was like, you would not open up a soul food restaurant and only tell your family and expect everybody to know about your grandma's greens. Like, nobody would know except the people in the family, right? You got to go out there some way and explain that Maybell's greens is so good. And yeah, we make barbecue. Yeah. But it's the side dishes that would break your face. Now, Luis and Wixie and I went to this restaurant. I forget the name of it, but it was aptly named Texas Barbecue in Atlanta, something Texas Barbecue. And the barbecue was okay. I mean, it's not bad. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's up there, like 9.5. But them side orders, Fawkes Brothers, there you go. Fawkes Brothers. Somebody dropped it in chat. Man, them side orders, bro, them side orders was crazy. And so that word of mouth, let me tell you a funny story about how I figured out where to go. We're standing in the lobby, and me, Luis, Wixie, Aiden, right? Aiden's in his wagon, and we're all trying to figure out where to go. And we're looking at Google, and I was like, wait, Google don't know nothing. And in the lobby, I'm stupid. Hey, who here from Atlanta? Like, this dude raised his hand, me. All right, we want to eat some barbecue. Where do we go? And he was like, Fawkes Brothers. It's so simple. So that level, that's what you want for your podcast. You want to be like, hey, I'm starting this podcast. I need to know how to do this. Oh my God, you got to check out the flow. Oh my God, you got to check out Creators Unstuck. If you lock those two in, bam, you're good, right? That's what you want. So the only way we're going to create that is what we're going to do today.
Yes, so exciting. And like, it's word of mouth is so important. You want to be the word of mouth reference when somebody asks for, like what Doc said, you're building a podcast, you're starting a cooking show, you're learning how to ride a bike. You want to ask that into the lobby and somebody say the name of your podcast in reference to whatever your topic is.
Yeah, so it turns out that there was a situation back in the day when we were talking about, okay, now the platforms are wanting us to do vertical video. And everybody's like, well, how are we going to do it? They're like, oh, call Marielou and Shelly. That was it. That was the first two things that came to mind. And that's what went down, right? Like, because that's you guys were rocking that lane so well. It was the thought, you know what I mean? Like, you blow your nose with a Kleenex, right? No, man, nobody really uses that brand. We all got Kirkland. Let's stop lying. But you still say Kleenex, right? You still wiping your butt with Kirkland because it's the softness. All right. Anyway, so let's dive into some of these steps because we want to give you real actions and things like that. We don't want you to just think about it. We don't want this to be conceptual. So Yeah, let's get that done. I got myself ready to take notes. And I'm going to take this 1 second to give a quick shout out to one of my bestest friends in the planet, which is Miss Aubrey, because Aubrey has started me on the fountain pen kick. And when I was in Japan, I went psycho. I bought about $500 worth of fountain pen crap. Thank you, Aubrey, you jerk. Anyway, so I'm going to take notes. I highly suggest you take notes. I'll get into my Japanese stationery haul later. Fam, it's crazy. But let's do this. Let's start with, we're going to give you like 8 common steps for marketing. These aren't the only 8. These are some really practical ones. And then we'll give you action steps that you can take to make sure these things pop off. Okay. So let me have you kick it off, Lou, while I drink a bone broth.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got 8 steps that are general. Of course, you can expand or subtract as needed for what you're trying to build. But the first one is to identify and embrace your niche, because if you don't know where you're going, then you won't know what to do. Because you can wander aimlessly, but it is so much more helpful if you got a target to hit. So embrace your niche, identify it, embrace your niche, and there's a lot of steps to do that. A lot of different ways you can approach that.
We did this in public. The first thing we did was we brainstormed sort of the generalized like ideas, the concepts, and we made sure that we sprinkled in whatever forms of our expertise we have. Like, you know, I'm tough and rough on the edges, but I'm gonna just tell you like it is. And Marielou is gonna take that and soften it up a little bit and be like, okay, he crazy, but what he really meant was blah, 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 right? So it was a perfect sort of yin and yang explanation that instead of just getting slapped, you know, it could be like, okay, look, you know, sometimes you got to get a little crack so you can get it going. So just understand that he meant well. So we went through, we brainstormed the ideas, we figured out what our expertise is, and even sort of how this whole journey started. We was having a generalized conversation back in January, and Lou said, this is going to be the year where I get down with audio. And I was like, sis, I'm ex audio like engineer type cat, done lots of live shows, lots of large events. Like I've run, you know, 64 channel mixer boards. So I can help you with that. And just like hang out with me, I'll get you through it. And it's like, yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start creating you some little documents here and there, or make videos about audio stuff and just make it as if I'm making it for Marielou. And then, you know, randomly things that started popping up, abilities for going little vacations and trips where we can, you know, go do work about audio stuff. And Marilou's coming up, right? So honestly, that's how we even started to do this podcast, was from brainstorming and then having a topic of interest and then taking an expertise and then turning it into a whole thing. So you make a list of your topics, just figure it out. And Marielou said this in our episode: what could you talk about ad nauseum for like an hour, you know, without even thinking about it, off the cuff? Like when you're a little kid, what would you not shut up about? That kind of thing, right? It could be anything.
And there's like something
hobby,
with this, with like,
skill. Yeah,
like with interests or expertise, like you don't have to be the expert in order to make the podcast. You can be building your expertise. You don't have to already be an expert in the thing.
That's a very important step, because a lot of people are afraid to do it because they don't think they know enough. If you're at 7 on a scale of 100, there are people at 0. So you can teach the people that are 6 through 0. All right, I had to let that marinate. Okay, cool. All right, so now you want to research your potential audiences. Go out there, see what communities already exist. Check out online spaces, see what people are talking about, kind of gauge the interest, because that way you can understand, I love this niche. This is what I'm doing. I know it's a difficult niche, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's fine. There's definitely those out there, but at least you know ahead of time, so you're not expecting to receive 1 million followers when you're working on a subject matter that might have, you know, 200,000 folks. It just is what it is, right? And then once you have that out, the most important step in this action plan is define your audience clearly. We absolutely nailed it. Content creators over a certain vintage, like kids that grew up with Nickelodeon and above, that want to do content but are finding it a little bit awkward and are struggling with all the things, and have the knowledge or the skill or the concept or whatever, but just are getting stuck in the soup somewhere. That was kind of what our audience was. We knew that right away. We knew exactly who we're talking to, right? We're talking to Torah. We're talking to Yolanda. Like, we know specifically that our audience is Yolanda and Torah and the rest of you, right? We like, and here's a key thing. Know them by name. If you could look at your folks and you could pull out avatar, Yolanda's not dumb by any means of the measure. Yo, she's an attorney. She's brilliant. But she's like, I need to do this so that my brain doesn't explode from being an attorney. I need to talk about the crappy football team that I love so much. I mean, I can't talk to Yolanda until February now. Football season is afoot. But, she knew exactly what she wanted. And so we're able to just like, let's adjust some stuff for yo. You know what I mean? And I think that's gravy. All right. And then the last thing you want to do is just test and validate. And you might have to switch. And I talked about that in our episode that I'm putting up now, is basically you might have to switch, but it's okay, fam. It's okay. Who said shots fired? All right. What's the second one on the list, Lou?
The second thing is to create remarkable content, because there's a lot of unremarkable out there.
Yes.
So make something that's worth watching, something that is going to inspire action, something that is going to give a different insight, something that's your take, because like you can regurgitate everything that's already out there, but then what's the point? Create something remarkable.
Yeah, very much so. And here's the funny thing. I think people think that remarkable automatically means good. And it's not good from the level of just production quality. Let me cover this real quick, because I'm fighting with people in our community about trying to do all of the high production stuff when you have no substance. Okay? Everybody went to school with somebody who was hella fine, but was dumb as a box of rocks. If you didn't know that person in school, it was you. No joke. Right? You don't want that like beautiful but like shallow personality. You don't want your show to look amazing, but it's unwatchable. And we have seen this. Sorry, Kevin Costner. Waterworld looked amazing. It had all the special effects in the planet, but it was trash. Hot to rash. All the money in the world, all the special effects, ILM, industrial light and magic, like the whole 9 yards. You do not want to be beautiful and shallow. Remarkable does not have to mean over the top production content. Remarkable means that you're giving value packed information, something a little bit different, something they can't just get anywhere else, right? So don't start the shows
so
up
Doc
with,
is like,
what's up, everybody?
Yeah, Doc is so much about the word. So if you think about remarkable, it's marked. So if there's something special about it and you remark, so people are willing to say something about it again. They hear it, they see it, and they want to remark on it. They want to say something about it because it's so good that you are the one that people think about when they ask about the thing.
That's it. That is it. Right? Speaking of which, people are like, hey, Ecamm, I need to figure out how to make my show look a certain way. Like, where am I going to get all these overlays and whatnot? From the very beginning, Anna Fulgens, what's up, sis, says, how can people do this without needing Photoshop or Illustrator? Doc and Marshall got Photoshop and Illustrator on lock. Michelle's out here doing all this cool stuff in Canva. What about the people that don't want to buy none of that? Like, how can we just do this using Ecamm? And they built a whole show based off of using native Ecamm to create really dope stuff, right? And that's what I mean. Like, that is something that you can do that's remarkable. It's completely different. It's taking a different approach and making it highly accessible. So the steps to create remarkable content. First thing, outline your podcast format. One of the very first things, I think like the second show that we did, we actually sat down and we wrote our show flow live in public, showed everybody how we do it. We do it on a Notion document. And here's the crazy thing. When we record live, we actually edit the show document in public so you can see us do it so that you can take notes and make your own. You don't have to copy our steps. I love this. People say, oh, you got a template. No, I don't want you to take the template. I want you to make your own, damn it. I want you to make your own because it's not that hard. The getting over the hurdle of starting with the blank page is the one thing that I will fight you on every single day, because the only way you make a page not blank is type something on it or write something on it. If somebody gives you something to fill out every time, homie, you're a form filler. We do not need any more freaking form fillers out here. We need creators. The key to creators is creating, not filling out a form. So I ain't giving you no damn template. Don't ask me. I want you to do it yourself because it's not that hard. And I know I'm an a-hole about that, but I'm going to fight people until they get past it. And once they do it, they're like, oh my God, it's way easier than I thought. And it's just one of those things. It legit is. I mean, on the live studio audience or anybody listening to this later, if you've ever skydived, please write so in the chat, because we know what everybody else don't know. It's the most amazing thing in the planet. But everybody else scared. I did it in the uniform. But once you fly, bruh, ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, so now
Just
jump.
You want to. There's no way you do it wrong with the skydiving. I guess you could do wrong, but like your run of show, you can always refine it. And if you like are paying attention to anything that you enjoy, the answers are there.
Well, here's the cool thing about skydiving: you only do it wrong once.
That's it, just the one time. Please don't do that wrong. Please go with a professional who knows what they're doing. In that case, right? Use their template for that. Don't freestyle that one.
It's funny because, like, yo, check it out. All you gotta do now is, again, the whole, for me, my process to this whole thing is do, not do, just do, right? So plan your first 5 episodes. Get those cranked out immediately. Get your audience attention. Let them know you are here. Put a stamp on it. They don't have to be cute. They don't got to be dope. They just got to be done. Because once you get those done, you start to develop your flow. You start to find, it's funny, he said the flow. You know what I'm saying? You start to develop your flow. You start to find your sea legs, as they call it in the Navy, right? And then you're going to record and edit them. And then the key process with recording those shows and editing those shows is you just want to let the audience know you're there for them. You want to let them know you care. You want to let them know they have a safe space to come and be whatever it is that you're talking about. And again, it could be anything like Aubrey talking about fountain pens. Oh my God, this rabbit hole is stupid, bro. Let me tell you, this rabbit hole is deep. Or you could be talking about Ecamm español, right? So like whatever your story is, get in there and just focus on the audience. I had a conversation with some folks yesterday in another group that I'm in, because they're talking. The conversation came about what the algorithm does. What the algorithm? Here we go. You know that triggers me, right? Every time your brain wants to say algorithm, change that to audience, bro. The algorithm is none of your damn business. Just ignore it. You're about the audience. That's all you're focused on, and then give feedback and adjust. It's so simple. All right, we're gonna
feedback and adjust, and then you can make all sorts of adjustments as you go. Because even in our first like 6 episodes, we've made improvements because of like recording it live and seeing what people feel and what people are like commenting on. We're like, great, let's talk about that thing next. So it's good.
And then Paul cracking jokes in the Zoom room. So there's that. And Paul making goat sounds in the middle of my recording, which I left it in there, by the way, Paul.
Because it was fun.
Now, here's my section. You know I love this section. This is my favorite section. This is all about you guys. You got to build and engage a community. You got to start building a community from day one. Engage with your listeners. Talk to them through social media. Build yourself some newsletters. Make yourself a forum. Find a spot for them to be at, and encourage that conversation. We said in every episode, we said from day one, this show will be 100% community driven. We will build what you want. We're not here to indoctrinate you. We are all sitting around the campfire in the island of Samoa enjoying a cup of kava. That stuff is slightly hallucinogenic. And then, next thing you know, we're going to be on the beach dancing the seafoot bro. Doing the haka. It's coming. It's coming. So, like, it very much so engage your community from the jump. All right. So, Lou, if I wanted to build a community and I didn't know what the hang I was doing, what would you do?
So first thing you got to do is choose your platform. Now, like Doc and I both agree, like YouTube, I like YouTube 100%, like to the point where I just don't even worry about any of the other ones at this point. Because when you choose a platform and you focus on that one platform, then that one can really flourish because it's getting all of your attention. And it also depends on like your audience. So like if the topic that you're talking about is really not on YouTube, go to where they are, because that's where they're going to consume. And hopefully if you're creating this podcast, you are part of those communities, so you know intuitively where this right platform would be. You want to create yourself a schedule, because I always loved there was a creator who would do a Monday like astrology reading, right? And like I don't know everything that she's talking about, but every Monday morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to listen to this. And if it is missing, then I'm like, oh, I was looking forward to that this morning. Like I worry, like, because now we're in the creator world, like I'm like, I hope they're okay, because I understand that things can happen. But regular audience isn't thinking like that. They're just like relying on you to provide that thing that you provide, that show that you provide. Yeah. What's that?
No, they'd be like, where's my stuff?
Yeah.
But community would be like, hey, you okay? And that's a huge difference, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Man, it's so good. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you, but it just hit me right then.
No, it makes a difference. There's like audiences give it to me. Your community is like understands a little bit more about you, and you hopefully you're building community, but just know that there is audience, and you want to strive to build for your audience as well. You want to engage daily as you can, right? So that just means like if there's comments, you want to respond to your comments. If there's conversations, if there's new listeners, if something comes up, like you want to really be part of this, like you want to live this, not saying it needs to take over your life, but you can't neglect it, right? It's like if you have a plant and you don't water it for too long, it's gonna die. You got to keep an eye on it. You got to pay attention to it. It's your little Tamagotchi, right? Your little podcast. You gotta care for it, your little community. And you can also create a simple newsletter where you can share the updates, you can share the episodes, you can share little insights, exclusive content. So even like Doc's show kind of serves as like the newsletter for Creators Unstuck, because Creators Unstuck is its own thing, but people who are part of Doc's audience, they get the behind the scenes content. So it's this synergy between other content, but newsletter is something that we're building.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. And one of the key elements of this, right, with the YouTube situation is, I know we wanted to do a podcast. I know we wanted to be a video podcast, and I know that for YouTube, video is first. Everybody else, video is a garnish. It's an add-on. It's something that they do in order to push other portions of their business. But for YouTube, video is first. So I also know that one of the key elements, going back to step one, is sort of building your expertise, building your authority, building your voice. The SEO that comes out of building brand voice in YouTube is right up there with writing a blog. And we probably need to do a blog, but Lou and I both hate writing like that. Like I like writing, but I don't like writing like that. So
we got tools that can help us with that, though.
We got tools that can help us now. But you know what I'm saying? The key element is that authority building is happening there, right? So just get your YouTube thing together, right? All right, let's carry some more steps. Okay. Leveraging word of mouth is so important. We start every show with, if you know somebody that needs to hear this, let them know. We're telling them, this is about you. Your conversations, your questions, your comments, your feedback will drive this show, right? We're telling them, make sure you're bringing somebody new to the party. If you don't ask them to bring a partner, they won't. They just won't, right? And I can think of people in our community right now that I have discovered in other communities, and then they follow back. They come with us. We have stolen some folks, Some folks just like Luis and I met in Nick's community. And now Luis and I are inseparable and insufferable. Thanks, little brother. So, you never know. Like sometimes hanging out in another community, you find your folks, you find your people. So, but it's very important. Like, I don't think people remember to ask other folks to come through, right? You really have to do that. That is so important. And I think it's easily skippable. It's easy to forget, but it's very important.
Right. And if you're creating remarkable content, you are leveraging that word of mouth because you are making something that is worth sharing because they're remarking on it to other people. But do not underestimate the call to action to say, hey, you know what? Just bring a friend. It's cool. Bring a friend. Bring them
Yeah.
over. Share this with somebody who might find this useful because that is because your content is remarkable. They have something to share, something that is worth sharing, worth telling their friends, worth saying, hey, you should watch this. You would find value in this. And like little shareable content, like that's something that I'm working on right now with our episodes, is bringing down our little snippets, our little shorties, our little things that people can share that are they're like little messengers that get sent out into the world of like, oh, I resonated with this one little clip. Let me go watch the rest of the episode. Because if this little clip was so good, I can't imagine how good the rest of it is.
All right, I do want to cover something because I just saw this pop up in the chat, and it's about feeling uncomfortable about asking people to subscribe. You know, I don't. I went back and forth with this a lot. Like, you got to tell people to subscribe because a lot of people just don't know how to use YouTube like that. They know that they can absorb content, absorb content, absorb content. There's legit people that don't know that pressing that button makes it easier for you to keep seeing it. How do I know this? Because I have a 78-year-old that has now replaced television with YouTube, and then she's like, "Hey, big boy, what? How do I see that family, the farmer family again?" I'm like, "Oh, the family from Azerbaijan?" She go, "Abajaba." Yeah, that one. English is a second language, by the way. And then she's like, "Yeah, I really like it. It's so relaxed. I can just watch this all day." I'm like, "Okay, Baba, did you subscribe to it?" She's like, "You got to pay?" And I'm like, "No, not that kind of subscription." You know what I mean? Like, to her, the subscribe button meant she's going to have to pay something in order to see that. And I was like, no, what it means is just like the newspaper comes every day. Whenever these people make something, it'll show up on your page. And then so now if I go to the TV and I turn it on and I go to her account on YouTube, I can see all her subscribed stuff. And she's figured this out. She's found more people like them that do these cool farming channels. She grew up as a farm girl in Okinawa. So it's kind of harkening back to, her old days, missing her parents, missing the farm. But, being in the US, there's no farming like that. But it's also just something relaxing she can do while she's cooking or helping Emma do something or whatever, right? So you just be surprised. A lot of people don't know that subscribing is a thing. And it's not just because they're an old lady from Okinawa. It's because they just don't know that's a thing. So you have to tell them. But in the same token, I don't necessarily tell people to subscribe that way per se. I just make sure I'm giving enough values that they don't want to miss nothing. So you don't have to straight up ask the subscription if you don't wish, but it kind of does help. And they'll be happy to. But one thing that Lou and I do is we put it at the very end. I can't stand watching a video, especially somebody brand new. I don't even know if their content is good. And they're like, hey, today I'm going to talk to you about this box. This box is really incredible. And if you have this box, it'll make you lose 300 pounds. And now let's get into that. Hey, everybody.
It's so
Check
much.
it out. And thank you for coming here, but please subscribe. Subscribe. You ain't said shit yet. I've been here for 2 minutes. You ain't said a damn thing. All I seen was your logo doing this, and now you want me to subscribe? Oh, I said a bad word on the flow. Oops.
And here's with, like, I also had never thought about that if people thinking subscribing equals paying. So that is something that's interesting, of letting them know that if that's the kind of audience that you have, is like maybe people who might not understand how YouTube works, is like, if you subscribe, that means you can see my content more, not you need to pay me money for that. But additionally, from personal experience, I always found it really hard to say the subscribe call to action in the early days, but it's because I didn't have something worth subscribing to. But now I know that I have something that if you watch this video and you subscribe, you're going to come back and there's going to be more stuff that is interesting to you in this lane. And then it's much easier to tell them, hey, you should subscribe, because if this was useful, I've got more stuff that's going to be useful for you. So if you're having trouble asking people to subscribe, maybe think about what you're offering, because maybe you don't feel quite confident enough that you're giving them what they want. But if you are giving them what they want and you're not asking them to subscribe, then you are doing them a disservice, because then they won't see you anymore.
100%. 100%. That is so good. So good. And I think it's funny too, because Tori just brought this up in the chat too, that I can't stand it when creators be talking about, okay, I'm ready to do this, but we're going to wait and see for other people to show up. You just said all of us that came on time aren't valuable enough for you to start.
Just start.
Oh, bro. Oh, my God. And again, that's making it about you and not making it about them. So there's that. Okay. So let's go into the next thing. After we have got this word of mouth thing, now this is key. This is key. This is key. Be consistent, be reliable. Consistency builds trust. That is it. Release your episodes as regularly as possible. We do understand life comes up, stuff happens, but just let people know, right? Maintain that consistent thing. Reliability, being where you're supposed to be when you say you're going to be there, is what makes you the trusted source. Your audience knows, like Marielou said, on Monday, I'm going to go and Star Watcher is going to give me my astrology, and I'm going to keep all of my comments to myself. I'm a science person. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, people represent. Anyway, but basically, it's very important that you be where you're supposed to be. Like you need to be where you're at, right? And that's funny because that's a Martin Lawrence thing. I'm gonna be where I'm at, but you have to be where you're at. You gotta let people know. You gotta let them know you're gonna be there. They gotta trust in you. They gotta depend on you. And that's how you build. That's how you build that know, like, and trust. That's what they say. Know, like, and trust. Right. So consistency is a thing. Now I'm gonna throw this out there before Marielou gets into the actions of consistency. And this has been on my radar for the last couple of months, but you guys have heard me say this for the last 4 years, all of my OG LGL people. I cannot stand when people say, be authentic. I mean, I can't even like the word authenticity, because most people that say that mess don't mean that mess. Most people that say that mess are putting on the show. Most people that say that mess, I've seen them when they're not on their show and they're not them. So I'm like, yo, authenticity, like, I hate that freaking word. And your audience doesn't want you to be authentic. Your audience wants you to be consistent, right? A whole bunch of people go to McDonald's to get a burger every lunchtime or every Wednesday or every Saturday or whatever, but they know what a McDonald's burger is going to taste like. You also know in the wee corners of your brain, ain't nothing burger about that burger. That is the most artificial ass burger ever, with artificial ass ingredients and mayonnaise and whatnot. So, but you know what? It's good. I'm gonna be there. Everybody who got Walmart ice cream sandwiches in their refrigerator, ain't nothing ice or cream about them, some and some. But hey, you know what? You know exactly what they taste like, and you buy them because Good to Great or whatever the brand is, Great Expectations. I forgot what they call that brand. I don't shop at Walmart. You know what it is though. So it doesn't have to be authentic. It has to be consistent. That's it. You can tell them.
And that's it. With authenticity, I think it can be tricky, because for some people they're like, be authentic in the sense of like, you don't need to put on a show, like just be yourself. Now that gets into like on camera presence. That's a whole other thing. But then there's some people who use authenticity as an excuse to be mean, which that's a whole other game, you know? So
I'm joking.
But the thing is, like, what really truly matters is that you are consistent. So like authentic, but you're consistent in that authenticity, right? Like Doc's Tough Love is authentic, but it's consistent, right? It's there. So that works, that matches up. But as far as consistency, it's not just like in delivering a consistent product, but also showing up with a reliable schedule. So you got to pick a schedule that like works for you. The beginning of the year, I had decided I'm going to do my live stream, a 2-hour live stream 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I went back in the calendar this year and highlighted on a little calendar all the days that I did make it, and it was
Yes,
pretty
she
good
did.
until I was like taking a class, right? Like when I was taking a class, it got a little bit weird, but like for the most part, every week 2 live streams happened, and it's changed everything for me. Not only for the audience, but for myself, to show myself that I mean this. I'm doing this on purpose. And that's what I hope for you with your podcast, is that you choose a date and you do it on purpose. Now, if it's not live, then you can batch record. Oh my gosh, batch recording can change everything for you if showing up at a specific time every week doesn't work for you. But let me
Yep.
tell you, sometimes batch recording is great for some people, and sometimes batch recording will hurt people because they'll do all their batching and then they will never film again. They did it all that once and then they never film again. So I really like having a set time every week where that's where you do the thing, because you're showing up. You got to show up for work at this time. That's it. That's the rules. You got to show up. Otherwise, the work's not going to happen. But having a content calendar can help you with that, because at least you know where you're going. You have like a plan with how you're discussing things. You know, like we have our list of topics for Creators Unstuck. And we can look at it and be like, okay, logically, if we talk about this one this week, the next week, this one will feed into it. And then the next week, this one can feed into it. But it's also flexible, because if there's a comment that comes up that's like, you know what, we really should address this now, then we can switch that around. So your content calendar is not like in stone, but it's a guide. You know, it is a guide. And then like communicating any changes with your people. Like people will understand. Like Doc was going out of town. Everybody knew this was happening. And we're all so excited for him to go on this vacation, because we know he needed to go take a vacation.
They
So
seen it.
you
They've seen the
communicated
heat.
that this was going to happen. Yes. So, you know, letting them know made all the difference. But it's consistency and reliability. Like people can take you taking a break if they know it's coming, because then it's like, great, I know there's no episode coming out on Monday. Awesome. I don't have to go look for it this Monday, but I can't wait for it to come back.
Yeah.
So it's good. Let them
Well,
know.
you know, what's funny is like I definitely, you know me, Liz, I understand. Went to med school, right? So I understand the clinical side of what burnout is, but I know what people call burnout ain't necessarily the same thing as the clinical burnout. I know a lot of people just use that as an excuse. And I know people get mad because I say burnout is not real. I'm talking about the internet burnout thing is not real, right? I'm not talking about like real deal exhaustion. I've worked in music, right? I've seen artists like literally done, like they need to just go somewhere and disappear. I also know what my limits are. And so y'all saw me about to pop a gasket, and they was like, boy, you need to go on vacation. I was like, let me book this trip to Japan before somebody get hurt. And so, you know, you have to know your space, but your community would tell you. They're like, listen, bro, you're getting a little bit rough. You need to go somewhere, right? So Paul and Louise is like, damn, son, you need a vacation. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm out. See you. I'll be back, you know? So yeah, just know your community will be there when you get back. If you let them be a community, your audience will be pissed because all they want is them. But your community will protect you. Keely told me when my dad passed away, Keely was like, if you bring your ass to the stream tomorrow, I will legit knock you out. I don't know if you've seen Keely before. I ain't messing with her. But she's like, I was like, no, Keely, I got to do the stream. She's like, do a stream if you want to. And like, my mama was yelling at me. And she was like, don't you dare. Like, I will tell everybody you're going to be MIA and you're not allowed to touch the stream for 2 weeks. Disappear. Absorb this. Spend time with your brother. Say, I don't want to see you. It's like, if you show up, I ain't talking to you ever again.
Right. And on another note of consistency, that doesn't mean it's every week forever and ever and ever. Do seasons.
Correct.
You still have to live life. You're still a human being. You are not a full production studio where there's like staff that they can exploit. Like, it's you. Don't exploit yourself. You know,
It's funny because you come from production world. And so you know that staff that they can exploit. That was just so good. That was so good.
Yeah, because they'll take the poor person who just like rolled into Los Angeles and who just desperate for a job, pay them less than minimum wage, or even an intern, and then they can operate things. But that's not, we're not doing that here. We're not doing that here.
See,
Consistent, but make seasons if you need to.
all right, now here we go. Let's get into the next one. Tell a compelling story, bro. And what I mean by that, it's not just each episode, but as a whole. You need to craft the narrative. We actually spent time before we started Creators Unstuck to try to figure out what our brand voice was going to be. We used some of the tools that are available to us. I said to take all of these episodes of me talking, take all these episodes of Marielou talking, and then add in a little bit of the GOAT, and let's create a brand voice for Creators Unstuck. And it was able to do that. So now we can build a narrative around that. We're always going to come through with, we are here to help you. Think of this as therapy. We're always going to come through. Some of these conversations are going to be tough, but they have to be had, right? We're going to have a consistent, going back to the old one, a very consistent brand voice and brand message. And I know that scares people because I'm going to pick on my Stephanie Lou, my partner in crime, love her to death, but her ilk, her people, and that little thing, they say these words so often, it makes it sound like it's a nebulous concept that people cannot grab wrap their heads around, right? Because they come from the marketing world. I'm a marketing person. We can make things seem unapproachable by accident. We don't mean to. It's just what we were taught in marketing school. So a lot of our friends in that community, like if you come to the social media marketing world, you talk to them, you're going to hear all these fancy ass buzzwords and you're not going to know what they mean unless you're in on that situation. So unless you grab a marketing dictionary and you study marketing, this won't make any sense to you. But keep it simple. You want your audience to keep coming back to see how the story unfolds. That's what they mean by creating a brand story. It's not just a backstory of how the brand started and we grew up poor little black children and here we are today. Not like that. If you watch the campaign right now, there's a lot of people that started out saying like they didn't know who Kamala and Tim are. So in the beginning, they're telling you who they are. You know, I grew up here, worked at McDonald's, and then my mama was Indian, my dad was Jamaican, and you know, blah blah blah. So yeah, that part of the story is there. But now we're getting into the part where you're watching the story unfold. You're watching the person who went from law school to like prosecutor to district attorney to district attorney of the state to senator to vice president to president, right? You're seeing how the story unfolds. Now you're hanging out to see what's going on, right? And again, never mind your politics, people. I'm just telling you an example that you can see in real life, okay? When you watch NFL on Sundays, right, they'll tell you about Devontae Adams, how he started out, you know, playing in school and he got a bad injury and then he turned into basketball and then he missed football, so he went back to football and blah, blah, blah. All these people that didn't sign him. And so the second day of the draft, his whole family wore black. And they're like, why is your whole family wearing black? Because this is a funeral for all of the teams that skipped over me. And now Devontae Adams is one of the sickest wide receivers in the world. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So as it goes on, you get to see the story unfold. For us, they watch the Start a Crusty podcast and they're going to watch it be so dope. And then on the day, when it's today, Creators Unstuck, you have myself and Marielou, and we have our very special guest. We said this way back in episode 3 that one day we'll be sitting here with the GOAT, Seth Godin, but it's our guest today, Seth Godin. And y'all are going to be like, damn, we remember the day that those fools said that they was going to get Seth on the show. That's
and
a
then you're going to
story.
come for the episode afterwards and see us geek out.
100%.
We'll be cool that episode. We'll be cool.
100%.
We'll be cool the day he's there. But then the next episode, you come back to see that story unfold where we just geek out for an entire hour.
100%.
Can you believe it? But like, you know, so it's defining what your core message is, right? With that story that can help you craft the story if there is a message. So like with any show that you watch, there is a story that is the core of it. Now, other things can happen around that. There's side stories, there's side characters, but the core of it is the same thing, right? So like Golden Girls, the core of that story is these women living together, living their best life in, you know, the chapter that they're in. that's the core story. But all these other things can also happen, but we know that thing is happening. So with Creators Unstuck, the core is we care about creators. We are also creators. There's something you might be stuck on, but we're going to help unstuck you by dissecting different things that we've gone through and other people we know have gone through, what we see and how you can get through it. So that's always in your episodes, whatever it is. Like, that's going to just help you navigate everything. So it's like your compass. And then if you create your episode arcs, that's just like where you're going today. You know, what's the beginning, middle, and end of the thing you're talking about today. So if they can connect to each other, wonderful. Now, because we've planned out all these different topics, we know that they all go together, and it can flow in a bunch of different ways. But
100.
maybe for you, it is just like one in front of the other. You know, maybe there is only one logical path, or you can navigate through things. So that, you know, that depends on you. But the personal stories make it remarkable. Like that's what makes it uniquely you. Like,
Well, that's
Doc
how
and I
people
have
that's how people attach, right? So there's certain things you have in your cabinet right now that have a brand name, and that brand name is a person. There's other things that you have in your cabinet that has a brand name that is just a made up name. There is a complete difference, right? The ones where there is a person connected to it, you actually have some kind of affinity to it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let me fix it like this. Until now, this is gonna be a weird example, but stick with me. Until April, what does Shore mean to you?
before that, it was musician microphones. Before we went on our trip.
Right.
For
But now you know
now,
that the Shore
it's
brothers is real
everything. There's
people,
like a whole thing.
right?
It makes
Right?
Doc cry. It's like, it's so much. It's wonderful. It was like, it was an item on the shelf, and then it turned into a history, a culture, technological advancements. It's like in the military, you know, like it's part of saving lives. I would have never thought that about Shore, but I learned that from Doc.
Right. And so once you get to hear the whole story, right? Once you get to understand who the Shore brothers were, once you get to understand that company today that they do not spend a lot of time bragging about is run by a female, right up Mary Lou's alley. Shore brothers today is run by a female. And a lot of people don't know that. And they don't go out of their way beating their chest, hey, look at us. We're a female run company type of thing. They handle their business. You know what I'm saying? What I'm telling you is they're giving you a brand story without even making it blatant. Sam Shore ain't even in the conversation no more. But when you have a brand story, it's there. So there's that. All right.
And then you got cliffhangers and teasers if you want to do that. So like something that we've done with the ends of our episodes is like we don't introduce ourselves until the end. And then with the teaser of, you know, you come back, please comment. We respond to what you guys want. So the teaser is in the community, in your participation. You participate in the community. The next episode might be what you want to talk about. It could very possibly be the thing you asked about could be the whole next episode. And that's built into our run of show. That's built into the core of the message is that. And that in turn brings us to the next step, which is to position yourself as an authority. And that's what we're doing with this podcast is we want you to feel like there's a place you can go to. There is a place of authority, a place of experience, a group of people who, when I'm having a problem as a creator, I can go here and I can pose this question and we can discuss it and we can unpack it. And then we can hopefully get you unstuck from.
Right. 100%. So, and again, where are you going to get this authority? Even if you're starting out and you're telling people, hey, I'm going to start out, we're going to build this together. You're going to see me do something from zero to hero, but you're going to watch me do it. What makes you the authority is you're the one willing to put it out there while the other people are hiding in the shadows, trying to learn in the darkness. You're going to learn in public so that other people can see the example. You're going to be the example. So by being the example, that in itself is establishing credibility, authority, and expertise, right? That is allowing you to then also reach up ahead of you and call on those experts in your field. Call it Jeff C. and a Stephanie or Mary Lou or, whomever, and say, come through, right? We could call on the Paul and be like, how do we do these lives without getting a bunch of crazy comments, right? How do you set up your bot trackers? How do you pick a moderator? Like, you can go to various experts in the field and you can pull them in. So that's part of it. Now, in that part, see, that's the part of the thing that messes people up, is because when you tell people to position yourself in authority, they don't really know what that means, and that sort of freaks people out, right? So you're legit just sharing what you know, and you're focusing on the valuable insight, the things that you can do to save somebody time, stress, money, unnecessary steps, headaches, what I call painkillers, right? If you can give somebody those painkillers, you're always going to win. You're going to bring in people who can cover the bases that you can't bring in. That's super important. Invite guests who can fill in the holes that you can't fill in. And then for us, this is key to Creators Unstuck. We will give you actionable tips. Today, not only telling you the 8 steps, we're telling you the actions to get to those 8 steps, because that's the important side of it. You must give actionable tips. And then after that, you just basically build a portfolio. And that's basically doing all the episodes, doing the social media posts, creating the freebies, creating the giveaways, speaking at events. That is building a portfolio of your sickness. There you go.
Yes. And to go to a comment that came up was, my crafty adventure saying it's hard to announce the next topic because you run the risk that someone will record the topic before you do. Now, okay, so Doc and I have our show together, and we also have our separate channels. And we're also very interested in the same kind of things. Like, if I say next episode, I'm talking about the new Insta360 camera, and Doc makes an episode about that before I do, I don't feel any kind of way about it, because the way I talk about it, it's the way he talks about it, are the same, they're different. It doesn't matter, because we are in the community, and hopefully if you're setting yourself as an authority in that topic, what other people who are also authorities say does not affect you. It can only build upon each other. Hopefully that's the community that you're building. And if someone else says it before you, and someone's in your audience that's like trying to steal your ideas, which they're not, like, and if they do, they're not going to do it your way, because your version of it is what's remarkable, because it's your version of it. And their version can also be remarkable. When I'm looking up something, I don't just watch one person. I'm like, great, that's all the information I need. Like, I will deep dive. I want to see how this person talks about it, this person talks about it, this person talks about it. So if somebody else is actually talking about the same topic, it's not a bad thing, because now that might be a hot topic that people are going to keep diving on.
Yeah. Or listen,
very demure, very mindful.
If I said to you, when I just say to you, somewhere over the rainbow where I live, everyone immediately thinks of Israel Kamakavive. Prior to Iz recording that song, we would have thought of Kermit the Frog, because that was our only other reference. Nobody in the chat knows who the hell Harold Arlen is. Harold Arlen wrote Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That was the original. Yip Harburg sang the song. Nobody knows that. When you say Somewhere Over the Rainbow, anybody that came after Meet Joe Black or anybody in Hawaii, the only version you hear is Ukulele and Israel Kamakavive. It doesn't matter who did it first, who did it right. Alexander Graham Bell, you ask a kid today who made the phone, Steve Jobs, not Alexander Graham Bell. We have no connection to that plastic Bakelite Lincoln 5679. What we have reference to phone now is this. Who built the phone? Steve Jobs. Their kids don't know who the heck Alexander Graham Bell is. So yeah, it doesn't really matter who did it. If they did it same as you, it's good. It's good. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the song was written by Harold Arlen, and the lyrics was written by Yip Harburg, and then yes, Julie Garley singing. But for most people where I come from, Israel Kamakavive, because Hawaiian, that's how. So anyway, it doesn't really matter if somebody did it before you. All right, the last one. This is key one, right? You got to get you want to focus on permission marketing. And again, that's one of those marketing terms. Again, if you're like us and you follow the GOAT, you know what it is. But it really has to do with try, instead of interrupting listeners or being intrusive or just like, come here, watch me. You're basically inviting them. Come over and see this. Give all the value up front. We don't even say who we are on our show until the very end. On this show, because we followed this show, we wrote the traditional formula. Hey, I'm Doc. Hey, I'm Katie, blah, blah, blah. This is the flow. But on our show, we don't even say who the hell we are to the very end of it. There's no mention of who we are because it ain't about us. It's about the audience, right? So it's about providing value in the beginning. And I know value is one of these weird things that people also get stuck on. What do you mean by provide value? Give the people what they want. If you don't know what they want, then you need to back up. You need to back up. So you got to give value in the very, very beginning. Boom.
Yeah. And it's like, so you can do lead magnets. Like that's something that I'm building right now for my membership that I'm starting next month is a lead magnet, right? So it's like something like that you can make it in, you know, whatever your design program is, that's a downloadable, right? So like if my community is Video Creator Club, and I'm like, what do people who are aspiring or beginner video creators need to know? Oh, like how to do B-roll and what kind of B-roll shots. Because for me, that's really natural. Like I don't even think about it. I just shoot some things. I'm like, oh, I got plenty of B-roll. But other people maybe need a little list. Is there something that you can offer to the very beginners that they would find helpful? Like how people want our template for run of show. If you have a show that's about making a podcast, maybe that is something that you can offer. You know, that's because of the core message of Creators Unstuck is to unstuck yourself. That's not necessarily our lead magnet, but that could be a proper lead magnet for maybe something like the flow, because it is about the flow of a podcast, right? So there's something that's appropriate for what you're talking about. You know, you can do simple opt-in forms if you are starting to build your mailing list. Like just make it really, really easy. Like if you ask me too many things, I'm not filling it out. Like I will just close it out. Like I just won't. So, you know, make it super, super simple. Just like email, thank you so much. Not email and this and that and your name of your pets and all of these. It's a lot of things. But, you know, respect your audience's inbox because Gizmo and Zilla that's Gizmo's right over here. Zilla's over there. They're always in the studio. With respecting your audience's inbox, I just helped Will's mom. She knows that I'm like, I know about tech stuff, and she's like, I need your help. Like, I keep getting all these emails from these stores. I just bought a candle, and now I just keep getting these emails. So I was like, okay, you know, I can show you that. And I'm looking at how often this company is sending her messages. It's 2 a day. 2 a day. Like, who are you? I was so mad that I was like, I want to call them and be like, who's doing your email marketing? They need to stop, because 2 a day is too many, in my opinion, especially if you like, it's for candles. Come on now. But it's a relationship, right? It's just like, if you're emailing somebody too much, or if you were calling them too much, then it's like, oh my gosh, like, give me a second, right? Well, I need to like do other things as well. So if you're nurturing this relationship and understand there is a human on the other side, because what you're doing is building community. You're not just trying to get viewers. You're not just trying to get downloads. You are building community, which means relationships with people. So think about that when you're doing your permission marketing, if you're doing any of your marketing, as you're coming from your heart and making your content, make it for people, make it for actual people.
Yeah. And so to Tommy's comment, of course, your credibility is 100% validated by your audience. And where that comes from, there's a lot of people who say they're credible, and when you double check their work, they ain't nowhere near credible. There's people that basically lie to your face every day because they think you're stupid. But the credibility does come from being consistent and being when you're at, and giving people the value up front and letting them see that you're about that life. We can always tell when you go to a presentation, and this happens, okay, Tommy, because you've been to these shows as well. You go to a show, like we were just at a particular show in Atlanta, And a lot of the speakers are going there and they're just giving you everything they got. They're telling you all of the stuff. They're telling you how to do it at the end. And there were some of the speakers who get up there and they tell you what they're doing. And at the end, there's this last slide telling you go in the back and sign this paper and give up $495, $795, $995, $1,000, $3,000, whatever, and enroll in their course. They basically use speaking at a show as a way to sell their stuff. The way I would do it is speak at the show and get you so locked in that you're going to come to me and ask, how can I find out more? And I'm going to have a one-to-one conversation with you to sell my stuff. Because I'm not trying to shotgun sell. I'm trying to sniper sell. Because I want to make sure whoever buys my product will not only use it, but become a part of it and then tell everybody else. Because that's much better marketing. That is permission marketing. That wasn't standing in the front and just say, blah. You know what I'm saying? So it's and the key element of that is credibility is definitely perceived and validated by the audience and not the creator, but you got to start out being credible in the first place. I cannot stand outside in the middle of a monsoon telling you it's sunny. That doesn't work. So that's what we mean by credible. And yeah, there's that. That is a very key portion of that aspect of it. All right, so that's
be
it.
About that life.
Yeah, you just basically be about that life. So I'm going to run through these really, really quickly. Again, you want to identify and embrace your niche. Super important. Create remarkable content. We gave you action steps for that. You want to build an engaging community. Leverage that word of mouth. Be consistent and reliable. Never mind being authentic because I hate that one. Tell a compelling story. Position yourself as an authority and establish your credibility. And focus on permission marketing. Just, it's basically don't be a jerk. Like, be real. Don't be a jerk. Show up to blow up. Give the people what they want. Put value in the front. And that's how you market your show. That's how you get in there and let people know who you are, right? Let them see where you stand for. And stand your ground. Don't try to take shortcuts. All the shortcuts ain't going to work. When somebody says, I can get you 50, 11 million followers, it's not going to work because that's not helpful. There's nothing helpful about that. All right. Boom. Somebody said that's how I got started with Ecamm. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Lou, how can people find you?
You can find me all over the internet at Marielou Mandl and on my new podcast with Doc Rock, Creators Unstuck, that you can find on YouTube at Creators Unstuck.
And you know what, Flow Riders? Flow Riders, today you have just been unstuck. All right. Today's show is brought to you by the lovely people at Ecamm. So that's us. We took over today, even though I work here. You can find the show at flow.ecamm.com. And listen, the YouTube shows, the live shows, which you came to today, this is the best. If you know people that are starting and doing this stuff and trying to figure it out, like we said, drag them to the show and just like, watch this, dude. If you stay here and hang out with these folks, you're going to get what you got to get, right? Like, it's going to be dope. So that's flow.ecamm.com. You can leave us a question. You can leave us feedback. You can give us episode idea, ask to be a guest. All of the above is available. So check out flow.ecamm.com. Now, this show is brought to you by Captivate, because Captivate is where we store this joint. It's where we host the podcast. It is absolutely incredible. And I love Captivate because it is a growth platform. This gives you an opportunity to grow your podcast. So big ups to Captivate. You can find them at Captivate.fm and thank them for rocking the flow. So yeah, that's it. Now, we don't have a lot of time for quick question and answer, but we will dip. And once I stop this, I'll just address the audience real quick. And then for all you guys who are not in the live studio audience, make sure you show up on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at noon. This is where we be. Right? So make sure you come and check us out here for another recording of The Flow. And this episode gets published next week live. That's just how we do it. So if you want to see more about Creators Unstuck, make sure you follow us at Creators Unstuck on YouTube. And we'll be live taping that sucker in 45 minutes. So there's that. All right, guys. You know how we end this show around here? Flow Riders out. Okay, pause that. All right, now let me run this back real quick for the audience. When I'm dropping an example, it's just an example. It didn't require anybody to come and give a counter BS to start the political thing. That was the whole point. So the grow up part of that comment was, you don't have to take an example and give a counter example as if we were starting a political conversation. That wasn't what the conversation was. It was just an example. It came to mind because it's happening right now. If it's raining outside, I'm going to tell you this is how rain works. You don't have to be like God made the rain or the devil made the rain, or that wasn't the point of the conversation. So yeah, I'm a veteran. I speak facts. I was on mission, sticking to the mission. And that's it. That's all I got to say about that. Anybody want to come for me? Come for me. I'm not gottable. That's the end of that. Peace out. 8 Town Stump. Roll the credits, Luis.